We got married about 12 years ago. Probably 3 or 4 years in, we were really ready to start thinking about kids pretty seriously. And at the time, I was a wedding photographer, and so I planned it down to the month of okay, if I get pregnant here, I'll be able to have a baby here. We won't have to cancel anything. It'll work out perfect.
Yeah, we do it in stride.
We just had it all planned out. We ended up trying for a baby for probably a year before we started getting doctors involved. It was such a spiritually hard journey, an emotionally hard journey, a physically hard journey, asking so many questions of God, of each other, of ourselves, what is this gonna take? And we ended up just going through treatment after treatment with fertility doctors, IVF, multiple rounds, a miscarriage, and the whole process just took several years. Our community really came around us. We ended up sharing about it more publicly. I just had so many dreams that one day we will bring a baby home, and we're gonna bring a baby home to this community that prayed her here. The beautiful thing is, eventually, we did finally get our baby girl. We finally got pregnant, and it really felt surreal, like a dream come true. But when she was about 3 months old, our whole life just really fell apart and crashed.
It really felt like it took everything we had to get her here. And so then all of our joy came from her, all of our life came from her, but we didn't have anything left, for each other. We finally got our child to put into the throes of childcare at the church. And then just a couple months later, it was suddenly just the 3 of us. I was left wondering, who am I? Who am I really? And there's a clarity that comes after a moral failure that suddenly you see everything kind of for what it really is. When I first came to Traders Point, it was actually the first public Sunday of their Carmel campus. I remember Greg Anderson came up. He was a campus pastor at the time. I felt like a fugitive, and I felt like he needed to know what I had done, and so I just blurted out and told him everything. And I said, here's why I'm here. Just a couple weeks ago, I was the guy at a church, and I screwed up, and now I'm here, and I'm terrified, and I need a place to heal.
We knew we wanted to fight for each other. We wanted to fight for our family. We believed God had healing there for us in not running away and not hiding and not giving up on the whole thing when it was very tempting. And I'm so thankful that we didn't.
There's been 2 stories going, our marriage recovery, my recovery, all of that. And then there's just Scarlett, who is just bloomed, and it's just been everything that we thought she would be.
When we came to Traders Point, I just remember being not ready to hand her over yet. She would just sit with me in the service for several months, and she was even getting kind of crazy, and I was like, no, I'm just not ready to hand her off yet. I was still just really hurting and all of that. And so when the time came, I remember we took her to the nursery, and I think I about cried because handing her off was such an emotional journey for me to do that. And we handed her off to this lovely lady named Lisa. And she was so sweet, and so sweet with Scarlett. And then every time we picked her up, Lisa handed her back and was like, she was great today, she was this, she was that. So in the weeks that followed, it was just a really healing journey, because every single week we handed her over to Lisa. And I just remember feeling like someone's actually getting to know her and not just handing her over to a stranger. And as someone who was healing from the loss of community, healing from infertility, navigating new motherhood, that was a really big part of our Sunday morning experience, and a really comforting, healing thing for me to go through every Sunday morning, handing my daughter over to her.
We felt so safe. And that was really important, not only for Scarlett, but for us, because we still had work that God needed to do in our hearts and in our marriage in the auditorium. You can only do that when your child is being loved and cared for, because that's a part of our heart that's out there somewhere else. And so knowing that that was being tended to gave us the freedom to take a deep breath and exhale and just cry and just let God minister to us and let the team minister to us.
About a year ago, I felt like we had a real full circle moment from that day that I handed her off, because she graduated from like the toddler hallway. 2 ladies came up to me after church that Sunday who I barely knew, and they had been working with Scarlett almost every week, and they came up with tears in their eyes and just said, "We are gonna miss her so much." She said, "She's so helpful, she's such a delight, and we have just loved having Scarlett in our room." And I just remember thinking, you don't even know how she got here, and you love her, and you have gotten to know who she is.
Even while our world has changed quite a bit, we tried to give her a consistent experience at home through the nursery, the toddler years, and the class that she's in now. She's had consistency from our home and from the church. And so those things are just really working together, that like, okay, they're both saying the same thing. They both seem to love me the same amount. They both seem to appreciate me the same amount. So that's building that spiritual foundation in her. And we're just massively grateful for that.
I just think we have found so much healing between the two of us and our family. We see the fruit of that in our daughter, who's almost 5 now, even in the relationships that we've formed within the church body. It's been a really beautiful picture of redemption that has just ministered to us and grown us in ways we just did not know we needed.